Coming up on Network Africa. William Ruto is sworn in as Kenya's 5th president. Odinga and running mate boycott ceremony. Scuffles in Senegal's parliament as members argue over the leadership. Plus, the United Nations Children Agency, UNICEF, says a third of Sudanese children missing out on school as a result of multiple crises. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Kenya, where President William Ruto has been sworn in as the nation's 5th leader. Tens of thousands of people cheered as he was sworn in at the ceremony in the capital, Nairobi, following his narrow election win last month. Mr. Ruto hailed it as a moment like no other, adding that a village boy had become president. The former deputy president was handed a copy of Kenya's constitution and a sword to represent the transfer of power from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, with his hand on a Bible, the 55-year-old swore to preserve and protect the constitution.
Nairobi's 60,000 capacity international stadium was filled before dawn. Many spectators were clad in yellow, the color of William Ruto's party, as they gathered to witness him being sworn into office as Kenya's 5th president. With his hand on a Bible, the 55-year-old swore to preserve and protect the Constitution.
I, William Samoei Ruto, in full realization of the high calling I assume as president
of Kenya,
of the Republic of Kenya,
do swear
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Kenya,
and that I will protect
and uphold the sovereignty,
integrity,
and dignity
of
the people of Kenya.
So
help me God.
Many African leaders, such as Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, among others, graced the occasion. Ruto, a former roadside chicken seller, who is now a wealthy businessman, campaigned as challenger to the powerful families that have dominated Kenyan politics since independence in 1963.
The President of the Republic of Kenya, tumpongeze kwa makofi.
This moment is a moment like no other. By the grace of God, we have got here. And let me say, that standing here today is testimony that there is a God in heaven. And today, I want to thank God because a village boy has become the president of Kenya. I want to thank my wife and family for always praying for me and praying for my team.
Deputy President for the last decade, Ruto must now confront an economic crisis in East Africa's wealthiest and most stable nation, where food and fuel prices are surging, unemployment is high, and public debt rising. The 55-year-old won last month's election despite a public repudiation by his boss, outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta, who said Ruto was not fit for office. Kenyatta's preferred successor, veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, did not attend the inauguration ceremony, saying he did not believe the election was free and fair. This is despite the fact that the Supreme Court handed down a unanimous judgment confirming Mr. Ruto's victory and dismissing Mr. Odinga's concerns a week ago. Many Kenyans wanted to witness the moment the United Democratic Alliance candidate would officially be sworn in. However, the venue could not host everyone. Scores of people were crushed and injured as they forced their way into the stadium. Many of the wounded were rushed to Nairobi's main hospital afterward.
Well, Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, today attended the inauguration of Kenya's President William Ruto alongside other African leaders. Professor Osinbajo is in Kenya on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, also attending the event where Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, Ismail Gule, the Djiboutian President, Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye, Tanzania's Samia Suluhu Hassan, among others. The ceremony, which held at a 60,000-seater stadium on the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi. However, notably absent was opposition leader Raila Odinga. The defeated candidate did not attend because of what he called serious concerns about his opponent's victory. In a statement, Mr. Odinga said he had received a call from Mr. Ruto inviting him to the inauguration, but that he would not attend as he was abroad, and he did not believe the election was free and fair. Well, this is coming despite the fact that the Supreme Court handed down a unanimous judgment confirming Mr. Ruto's victory and dismissing Mr. Odinga's concerns that the election was marred by widespread irregularities. Well, his running mate, of veteran politician Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, she also skipped Tuesday's inauguration for a game of golf, according to this picture she shared on her Twitter page. Meanwhile, several people have been injured as crowds tried to force their way into the stadium where Kenya's President William Ruto was sworn in. Footage showed hundreds of people scaling the wall to gain access to the 60,000-seat Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi, which was already packed with spectators before dawn on Tuesday. Mr. Ruto supporters, dressed in his party's colours of yellow and green, dancing and waving flags as the band played music from the podium, but dozens of people were seen falling on top of each other at the entrance gate, while first aid responders carried people to a waiting ambulance. Kenyan journalist Abby Agina joins us now for more on today's inauguration in Nairobi. Hello, Abby. So it's official. William Ruto has now been sworn in as the president. What's the mood like in the country? How are Kenyans receiving their new leader?
Well, thank you so much. It has been an eventful day here in Nairobi, Kenya's capital, even as various leaders joined in as the country ushered in a new president for the next 5 years. There's excitement really across the country, with majority of Kenyans celebrating this momentous occasion, even as William Ruto ascended to the presidency, being the fifth president of the Republic of Kenya. Well, of course, the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, was conspicuously missing, as well as running mate, Martha Karua, which, of course, did not augur too well with those who are behind this event, the planners, actually. But as it stands, the country is looking forward to his first 100 days, which majority of Kenyans probably waiting with bated breath just to see what will he do differently.
So, talk to us about, the highlights of his inauguration speech. We heard him there say, this village boy has now become the president. What other, notable things did he make mention in his speech?
Mhm. Well, he gave a very far-reaching speech which captured his journey to the highest office in the land, rising from a mere village boy who was selling chicken to earn a living to someone who basically represents the aspirations of many Kenyans who have been yearning to see one of their own rising to the top office. His story was literally an area of focus in his speech, where he did exude confidence that the Kenya of today is a country where anyone can pursue their dreams and become they rise to the highest level in the land. Well, among the other areas of interest in his speech definitely were fixing the economy. Remember, Kenya's economy hasn't been running pretty well, especially since COVID struck. We've seen economic headwinds affect the economic performance. Looking at inflation right now, we're talking about 8.5% inflation. We've also seen the Kenyan shilling weakening against the US dollar, trading at just about 120 shillings to the greenback. And all this has, of course, left many households devastated with high food prices and high fare prices, which also did see fuel prices being an area of focus in his speech. He talked about subsidies, saying the subsidies are no longer tenable, and he will be, of course, suspending the subsidies. We currently have a subsidy program running for fuel, which has been able to cushion Kenyans from the high rises of fuel. We've also seen him talking about the fertilizer subsidy, where he expressed himself saying, beginning tomorrow, fertilizer prices will be retailing at about 2,500 shillings, which is loosely translates to about anything around $25. So this was literally an area of interest. We also did talk about the education sector, saying that it's time to rethink the current education curriculum in the country. And he indicated that he'll be setting up a task force that will review the sustainability of the current education system. Come January 2023, he'll be making a decision on the same, just to capture some of the concerns that parents have been raising about Kenya's execution of the competency-based curriculum, the CBC program, which was one of President Kenyatta's key achievements under his administration. Well, of course, also in his speech, he did tackle on matters dealing with the judiciary, saying he will be putting in more money to go for judiciary. He talked about 3.5 billion in shillings to go towards the judiciary. He also did, of course, put in a very strong comment on the blacklisting of borrowers. Currently, Kenya has the Credit Reference Bureau, which, if one defaults on paying their loans, they are of course, going to be in the list. So he discussed, he actually put out a promise that he will be reviewing the approach in which we handle the creditors in the country, where quite a number of Kenyans have been listed on defaulting on loans, and this has affected their profiles when it comes to them having access to other loans. So on a broad scale, he did really give his economic plan for the country. And of course, he also did give out some radical decisions that he'll be taking on the police force, as well as uh, he did also touch on, he's actually also going to be swearing in the 7 judges who were not sworn in under integrity questions. He said, come tomorrow morning, he is swearing them in as he wants them to get into office and serve them.
Oh, a lot there for him, a lot on his plate, even as he begins this journey. as president of Kenya. And I'm sure, Kenyans are just waiting to see the changes his administration would bring to the country. But thank you so much, Abi Agena. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Still ahead on the program. South Africa's first black female conductor is making waves in the local music scene. More details in a moment. Please join us again.
amagum rek mooy président groupe. tey bu consensus di am bu auguré wul dara lu baax parce que d'accord waa force de l'ordre ngi ci biir hémicycle bi mais ba fan lañ mën a àgg ak ñoom.
What you see now is scuffles at the Parliament House of Senegal during the election of a new president of the National Assembly. All security forces had to be called to secure the voting process in Parliament and also to hold back rowdy opposition members of Parliament who tried to disrupt the process. The Assembly was convening for the first time since a July election in which President Macky Sall's ruling coalition lost its comfortable majority, securing just 2 more seats, more than 2 allied opposition coalitions. Well, the new parliamentary session convened on Monday with the first order of business to elect the House's new leader. However, parties failed to reach an agreement on electoral procedure. Well, heated arguments ensued all day, and by late evening, tensions boiled. Senegal's national television showed scuffles, breaking parliamentarians pushing and shoving one another as they crowded the floor of the assembly. All forces in the war-torn northern Ethiopian region of Tigray have accused the government of carrying out fresh drone attacks in the regional capital Mekelle. And this is coming 2 days after they said they were ready for an immediate ceasefire. It was close to 3 weeks since violence flared up again after a 5-month truce. A senior Tigrayan official, Getachew Reda, tweeted on Tuesday that the target of the drone strikes was a university campus. However, the government has not yet responded to the accusations, and there is no independent confirmation of the claim as a result of an ongoing communications blackout. Aid groups say about 1/3 of children in Sudan do not go to school, with the multiple crises threatening to disrupt the education of millions more. The UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, and charity group Save the Children say nearly 7 million girls and boys in Sudan are not going to school, and the situation has been exacerbated by big cuts in international aid following the military coup last year. According to the UNICEF representative in Sudan, a further 12 million will have their education severely disrupted by conflict and unrest, skyrocketing inflation, and a lack of teachers and infrastructure. In the meantime, the UN Refugee Agency says Sudanese refugees and their hosts in Chad are also facing challenges in delivering education.
With an influx of refugees from Sudan to eastern Chad, UNHCR and its partners are providing vital support for the education of refugee children. Thousands of Sudanese refugees have fled darfur to Chad in recent years. Recurrent fighting in the troubled region has forced people to abandon their homes and seek safety in neighboring countries. Around 400,000 Darfur refugees have lived in Chad since the conflict began nearly 2 decades ago. One of them is Hassani Hussein.
I graduated from university with a degree in psychology. I worked hard, step by step, until I graduated. I see education and educators as more important than anything else. When I teach future generations, even if I don't get a financial reward, my reward comes from God. And for me, every time.
Kuchagene Mora camp hosts around 14,000 Sudanese refugees who have fled clashes in Darfur since February 2020. UNHCR has overseen the construction of 2 schools accommodating 2,500 pupils, with 24 latrines, 2 solar-powered boreholes and 4 staff rooms. Together with its partner, the J-Suit Refugee Service, UNHCR selected and trained a staff of 39 teachers drawn from the refugees and the host community.
I teach, I remember a lot of what I have learned, and it helps me support teachers and students. Some students in this school suffer from psychological trauma and family problems. During class, I can help them deal with what they are going through.
UNHCR and its partners ensure children's access to education by including them in the Chadian national education system and providing infrastructure and materials. But despite these investments, as the camp continues to grow, with nearly 4,000 new arrivals since the start of the year, staff highlight the stark challenges they still face. The average primary school class size is 163 students, and 10 of the 17 classrooms in the 2 schools are held in the open air due to lack of available space.
Queen Elizabeth II, who died last Thursday at the age of 96, was just 25 years old when she learned she had become queen, well, upon the passing of her father in February 1952, while she was on an official trip to Kenya. Well, that month, Princess Elizabeth and her husband, the late Prince Philip, had begun a Commonwealth tour with a visit to the East African country. When the news broke, the princess was staying at the Treetop Lodge, located at the Aberdare National Park in Kenya. The lodge, although closed due to COVID, still holds her passing to heart because her stay put the establishment on the world map. Well, today, they now have a suite that's named after the Queen, and Amos Indegwa, a guide at the lodge whose grandfather built the original structure, says he is in mourning.
It is very sad when we heard the news that she has passed on, because she left a big legacy in this hotel, because most of the tourists who normally visit here in Africa, they don't complete their journey without coming to Treetops and see where Queen Elizabeth visited. And normally they want to see even the Queen's room, because it still exists. And it is like a monument. It was the first lodge which was built back in 1932. It's the only lodge in Kenya which was 40 feet from the ground, and guests could watch animals comfortably from the comfort of their rooms, and they could watch animals underneath. So it was a very special lodge, and that's why Queen Elizabeth was attracted in 1952 to come and visit this lodge. Treetop Lodge is one of the best sites where you can view animals from all corners of the lodge, because they come all the way from the mountain, and then they come on the front side where they got a pool of water.
Well, let's head now to South Africa to meet a 27-year-old, arguably the first black female conductor. She's said to be making waves in the local music scene. Take a look.
South Africa's first black female conductor, Ofensi Pitse, who founded her musical collective Anchored Sound at the age of 27, pushes the boundaries of a traditional orchestra in hopes of creating a Coachella-level experience. With the help of 20 choir members and 19 musicians, Pitse is looking for a new sound by mixing jazz, pop, electro house, and classical styles. With no experience as a musical conductor, that did not deter Pitse from forging ahead with her dream.
I had like a 19-piece ensemble, and then after the 19-piece ensemble, I was like, shucks, who's going to conduct this? So then that sort of like prompted me to learn how to conduct. So I was just bothering a lot of conductors on Facebook and Instagram, seeking someone who could really like take me under their wing and all that, and then that's when Ruben Gruten.
Speaking on why she created the orchestra, whose members mainly come from Johannesburg, disadvantaged communities, Pitse said it was all about representation.
I never saw, an orchestra that looked like me, and I consume a lot of orchestral music. So you're from your Berlin Philharmonics, all of these other things, right? But then the issue is that I've never seen something that looks like me.
Clad in a long black cape decorated with safety pins, Pitse performed on the stage of a crowded theatre in Johannesburg.
Offensive was incredible on stage. Her energy, her craft, it came across. I mean, we had so much fun. I was right there in the grandstands and we were feeding off her energy. As much as her back was turned to us, but we could feel her energy. The way she was conducting the orchestra, the way she was conducting, the backup singers, the instruments, it was incredible.
But I love creativity and trying to see how different instruments and vocalists and different types of music can work together. So I'm very happy. I'd like to see more of it.
The audience praised the conductor's creativity and her approach to creating music. Pitse says she hopes to take the orchestra to new heights and an international standard.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.